A narcissistic or narc injury is a concept that refers to a narcissist's hurt, wounded little ego. It can also be called an ego bruise. When the ego is harmed, the narcissist will spin out of control, become very overwhelmed, and shut down. To wound the ego is where the narc hurt truly lives. With that being said, here are the top things that you can do that will inflict a narc injury. Number 1, humiliation. Humiliation and embarrassment are two things that a narcissist can't afford to have happen to them. They're trying to avoid this at all costs, and they do this by being as controlling as they possibly can over everyone and everything. Think about this. If they know every move that everyone's going to make, every outcome, every possibility, they'll never end up looking foolish. They'll never end up being outsmarted, outplayed, or humiliated and embarrassed. I don't really think I need to run down a laundry list of ways to embarrass and humiliate these folks. It's honestly not very hard to do because of their overinflated ego and just how sensitive they are in general. I'm also not saying that anybody should do these things either. These fragile little people really don't need our help or really anybody else's to make their life worse. But if you do something that makes them red in the face for whatever reason, the ego absolutely takes a hit. Number 2, any kind of silence whatsoever. And there's a few different ways that we can go about being silent with a narcissist. We can just flat out ignore the person, give them a good old-fashioned silent treatment. We can go no contact, we can ghost them, whatever. It doesn't really matter what route you take to silence. Some are more mature than others. I'm not here to tell you what to do. It's none of my business, but silence hurts a narcissist and causes the injury to the ego. Because once more, you're hitting the power and the control angle. They don't have either of those things in this scenario because you're not communicating with them. You're not telling them what's going on. You're not doing what's being asked of you. They can't maneuver and manage you very well when you're just not cooperating and you're not going along with the program. Nothing is going to go very well for them in those times. Now, is it? Of course not. You can hit the ego and make them feel like a failure as well. If you're silent, then it proves they can't keep control over you. They can't make you conform and submit to what they want done. They have no idea what you're up to. This can also cause fear and make the narc injury worse. Maybe you're not talking to them because you're replacing them right now as we speak, and they don't know. Any kind of silence will send a narcissist into a tailspin. And you might have even seen this, survivor, if you've gone silent and your phone explodes with calls, texts, messages to all of your social media platforms, emails. Maybe they've even sent a little letter tied to a pigeon's foot to try to get to you. You can see how the lack of control causes the injury. Speaking of, number 3, taking back control. Literally everything on this list is about control. I'll probably say the word 100 times, but I want to give this its own point here because I think it's a really important thing to hammer home that when you begin to take your own power back from these people, you realize how little power they actually have. And that is something that hurts their ego. You taking your own power and your own control back that we hand over to them in the love bombing phase. Not every narcissistic injury is something done out of spite. You need to take your power back. It's yours. You need to live your life in a healthy, positive way, the way you want to live it. And there is nothing you can do to help hurt feelings about you doing what is absolutely the right and best thing for you. Another really important point that I want to make sure people realize. Not every narcissistic injury is done out of petty, mean spite. To talk with me one-on-one, see what programs I offer for healing, clarity, and support, and how to get started with all that, you can visit my website, or you can send an email to BookAChatWithJess@gmail.com. All of this information is readily available for you right down in the video description, and it's just one click away. Number 4, tapping into guilt. Narcs are riddled with guilt, and I guess if we all treated people as badly as they do and acted like one huge bully, I guess we'd all be racked with a lot of guilt, now wouldn't we? Tapping into all the guilt and the shame that narcissists feel is obviously going to cause them to have some feelings, and it's going to hurt the ego. When you tap the guilt button or you shame them or embarrass them, what it does is it pops the little bubble they live in. The little bubble is called the fantasy bubble, where they're so great, they're so important, they have all of this, the world revolves around them, and us, I mean, we're just piles of dried up hog phlegm. And that's what it does. It pops that bubble and shines a spotlight on how shitty they are, how mean they are, all of their insecurities, all of their issues, and they have to sit with that for a little while. All of those uncomfortable feelings that they try so hard to bury away and wish away and cover their ears, put their heads in the sand. And when you burst that little fantasy bubble, that's naturally going to bother some people. Number 5, exposure. Ooh, this is a big one. Exposure can ruin what a narcissist is trying to accomplish, especially in certain situations like the small town situation or the little company, where once everybody knows, I mean, honestly, these people might as well just pack up and leave, which sometimes they do. Exposing a narcissist is devastating because it can ruin a lot of their potential and current supply sources, but it also hits the brain. And by this, I mean somebody has figured them out and then told everybody. What a huge blow to the ego. How shitty must a narc feel to know they've been outplayed, outmatched, outsmarted, and before they know it, they're about to be ostracized. You have to keep in mind, these people think they're geniuses. Now, I'm not saying they're stupid. That's not true. I'm saying that they're not as smart as they think they are. Also, they're incredibly lazy, and that ends up hurting them in the end too. But exposure, super narc injury inducing. Number 6, good old indifference. And this is very similar to silence, not talking to them, but I want to add this in and give it its own very brief little point here. Indifference is great because it takes the wind out of a narc's sails. They'll get up in your face, for example, they're name calling you, demeaning you, or demanding you do something, or you're just an idiot or a loser, you didn't do something right. And all you do in return is you stay very quiet, calm, you nod and you go, oh, okay, cool. I'll get that done in a second. Catch you later. It's like gray rock, except your aloofness is actually how you feel. You're not in the fake it till you make it phase of like having to gray rock and deny them the emotions. You're just legitimately not going to emote because you don't care, because you're truly indifferent. Taking away the reactions, the rises, the responses to this bullshit behavior that these people have really hurts them. Again, we're back to the loss of control, the realization they've been outmatched, also the realization that, again, the aloofness, the indifference is real. You actually don't care anymore. Yeah, I mean, super ouchy. That's gotta hurt. Number 7, revenge. Just kidding. They don't care about revenge. You can't get revenge on a person who doesn't give a shit about you. You can't hurt who doesn't care. Don't waste your time on the nonsense. Even if you could, they have a harem full of other supply sources. You're not number 1. You might be number 127. Trust me, they don't give a shit. So tell me down in the comments what you have done to cause a narc injury. Did you do it on purpose? Did you hurt them because it was something that you just simply had to do because you were moving on with your life? Feel free to share with me. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day, survivor, and take care of yourself.